Hey, welcome back to the NorthcoastUnderground.com. The Underground starts with you. Got Dave in the house. We want to talk about this parish thing. Well, before we get started, the OCB Jam Nights next Wednesday. It's our first monthly thing we're starting here. It's going to be January the 14th. Kickoff time is going to be 7 p.m. We got a special guest, Kenny P, here, and it's going to be open to the public, but if you are going to come, please RSVP us so we can get a head count.
What the hell does RSVP even stand for? Does anybody know?
I don't think I do, actually.
I don't think anybody
reserves
does. Anyway,
something.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can call Diane at 216-503-5900, and if you are an artist, contact Ricky if you want to get involved with it. That's RDUNN at beonair.com. He's the program director here, and he'll get her done for you. So get you on the board here, get you started. But the parish thing here, my aspect, this happened while we were in class today. They actually caught the guys. They were in a printing factory, I believe it was.
Yep. Yeah, they're not just going for the local offices now. They tried to go to the source.
Yeah, and they were shot. I think it was because that's the way they wanted to end it anyway. As a martyr type deal.
That'd be my guess.
And I'm glad that they caught them. I'm glad that it's over with, and they won't be wasting, which was not our tax dollars. It was Francis, but tax dollars over there, keeping them in prison for so much time. But it's a shame they had to take out 12 people over a cartoon. And, it was the Charlie, what was the name?
Hebdo,
yeah. It was the article they put in there about it was a cartoon that one of the publishers had put in there, or the cartoonist, and they caused an upheaval, and that's when the three went in and shot 12 people that worked for this newspaper, this magazine, actually. And to me, the media was trying to blame the magazine instead of the three people that went in and did the shooting. They were placing less blame on them and more so on the journalist. And there's got to be a spot in the world, not only the country, where you have to be able to have freedom of speech and put a joke up without it having to cause you to get killed.
It is supposedly covered under freedom of speech, but what you got to consider at that point is these are not well-adjusted, normally thinking people.
Oh, of course not.
Anybody that's going to walk into a print shop or into a local office, into a newsroom, whatever the case may be, you can't sit there and tell the whole world, look, we're going to go ahead and do what we want to do, but God help you if you print or post or draw or anything that offends us, because then we'll come bomb the living hell out of you.
Right, yeah. And we've seen this on not just this occasion. It's happened many times, over people that get offended. And it's not just Muslims. Christians have bombed abortion clinics. You've had religion itself has been a terrorist in some kind of format.
Right. Well, as long as you have religion, you're always going to have extremists.
Right.
And as we were talking about before we got on the air today, every religion's got their extremists. We were talking about the Westboro Baptist Church. You got these idiots over in France right now. The problem is right now, these radical nut jobs seem to be gaining more and more attention in the news because they're making the most noise, and they're making people afraid.
Well, I'm going to say something that a lot of people won't say on the air because of afraid of eggshells and stepping on toes, but they'll always say when something like this happens, the majority of the Muslim people aren't violent. And that may be the case, but if you ever took time to read the Quran, if you ever read it, I've read quite a bit of it, it's a pretty violent book, and it does kind of speak of violence toward other people if you actually sit down and read it.
Any publication, any religious publication that encourages you to kill all the non-believers.
Right.
And in certain passages say it's bad to lie, but as long as you're lying to the non-believers in order to further your case. And you can say whatever you want. You can say the fundamentalists have gotten it all mistranslated, but it directly states in the Quran several times that it's their responsibility to kill the non-believers.
Well, when they went to kill these 12 people, as they were going to shoot them, they were in their language, of course. They were translated. They were screaming, "Our God is great. We have avenged the prophet." That's what they were screaming as they were going in to kill these 12 people. So it was all about killing in the name of their God.
Well, not only that, and again, these are extremists.
Right.
These are your
not saying all Muslims will do this.
People, but there's the other problem where you've got areas of London and big parts of England and Europe in general right now where Muslims are trying to impose their law over entire city blocks and saying that this area is controlled by Sharia law and this, and this will not be permitted. How do you take over an entire city block and impose your religious beliefs on them and say there will be retribution if you're caught breaking these rules?
It's a world we live in today that's really gotten pretty crazy. I think it's time as a world we take a stand. And, what worries me is the USA. When's the next time we're going to let somebody into this country and have another 9/11 experience?
Oh, just one of the quick highlights or headlines on CNN's homepage right now, which is, if you've been there, if you haven't, go check it out. This is CNN's homepage right now. It is nothing but pictures from Paris.
Right.
And stories about
Flooded.
Paris. And one of their headlines, which I didn't get a chance to read, but it said somebody said that the U.S. is just one plane ticket away from another attack.
That's all it takes. I mean, 9/11, we actually trained the pilots. So, I mean, and I'm not saying we got better security now, of course, because of 9/11, but anything can happen. We're allowing immigrants now in, thanks to our president. We're going to let a lot of immigrants stay here without any kind of repercussions at all, be here illegal. So,
well, here's my thought. I don't know how much time we got left before we got to go back to some music, but
go ahead and get this.
I mean, you can't really have it both ways. You can't say that, you can't live in fear to begin with. I don't want to be afraid to walk out of here today because of what we're about to say on the radio station. But that's life.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to voice my opinion.
Right.
And if, God forbid, I walk out of here and I take a bullet, well, then I took a bullet for my opinion.
Well, I'll quote, before we go to break, I will quote Neil Bortz, which was his WSB 750 AM talk show host in Atlanta before he's retired now. But he used to say if he didn't go to work and he didn't leave and he didn't have a certain number of bomb threats or a certain number of whatever the case may be, he didn't do his job properly.
Right.
Because that's just the way society is. He got threats all the time because of what he did. And when he didn't back down.
The flip side of that coin being you can't live in fear, but you can't roll over every time somebody says they're offended either. You can't live in fear of offending somebody and at the same time live in fear of being attacked by the same people.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, we're going to go to break and we're going to get into another touchy subject. That's the NAACP and some cop killings. We'll be right back here on the NorthcoastUnderground.com. The Underground starts with you.
Yeah, you're now listening to the Northcoast Underground. Yeah, NorthcoastUnderground.com with wicked, way cool music from around the world. And now, turn up your radios and be dancing with us. Yeah, and remember, the Underground starts with you.
This is NorthcoastUnderground.com. The Underground starts with you, eh? Or whatever that was he was saying. This is
the Northcoast Underground. We're here to pump up your ears.
We did get a comment back from, I've gotten two. One from my fiance. She said, reserve, s'il vous plaît. Terry said it's respond, s'il vous plaît. Either way, I guess that kind of ties in. That's that and the Statue of Liberty, I guess we got from France for saving their ass in the war so many times. But hey, at least we got something out of it.
Yeah, so that's what RSVP means.
Right.
So there you go. You learned something today.
I wanted to talk about the NAACP office. You heard about that, didn't you, in Colorado Springs?
I heard a little bit about it, yeah.
It wasn't bombed like totally. It was just attacked with like the walls on the outside had been attacked, bombed, or whatever. And they're saying it's due to race tensions, and I'm sure it probably was. I'm not going to deny that it wasn't because look at what's going on in with the Ferguson thing and the police. I'm sure it was race related.
I would be willing to bet a whole lot of money on that.
But you can't, keep on defending wrongs and think that people aren't going to get ticked to a certain extent. I mean, they're going out now and they're defending what's wrong as being right. You can go out and rob somebody and and the cops are in the wrong because they shot you because they shot at them.
Well, be careful because, like we were saying, there's extremists on any side.
Oh, yeah.
And going and hitting up the NAACP
Yeah,
offices.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it does trigger those things, just like you was talking about with Ferris. You know, that piece did end up triggering that. But I'm just saying you have to expect those kind of repercussions if you're going to go out and do that kind of thing. And, I mean, NAACP has always been pretty much the way it is now. They stand up if anybody does anything. They don't say nothing about the black-on-black crime, but if a black guy kills a cop and it's in the line of duty, he's in the wrong. Which ties into the next thing where a man tries to run down 2 Port Authority cops in New York this past, I think it was yesterday, and he was yelling, "I want to kill cops," as he was running into them. Luckily, the cops weren't hurt, but he was trying to run them down, and he was screaming this while he was going down to run into them. Which, this is going to be some hardcore facts. A lot of people don't want to hear it, but it is what it is. They wonder why the African-American population in America represents 14% of the population.
Okay.
47% of all cop killings are performed by African-Americans. 6 times more likely to kill cops. Now, so why wouldn't a cop be a little uneasy when facing a certain situation, given those statistics?
Considering recent events, and I got to be careful here because this
Right.
one set me off on Monday. I spent the first hour of my show on Monday being pretty angry. Considering recent events, I think I told you and I told a couple other people, I actually called New Year's Day. I called my local police office, and I spoke with somebody who then forwarded me over to his administrator's office. I called to wish him a Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas, and figured I'd show a little bit of support instead of people calling and complaining. You know, it's a hard line to walk with an opinion and a lot of these situations going on right now, because you don't want to corner yourself and sound like you're justifying anything that might be wrong.
Well, that's like everybody's walking on eggshells, like I said, and you can't voice your opinion. It's just like if we voice our opinion and we think it might be wrong for this reason and that reason, we're considered, for lack of a better term, racist. It's just like with Barack Obama. I mean, in that situation, if you ever voice something against his policies, you're automatically deemed a racist, even if you're not, because you just don't agree with the policies.
Right.
And and I've had it. We've both had it.
Yeah.
In recent. So, I mean, it just happens. And that's just the way some people, unfortunately, are narrow-minded, and they can't see past color.
And believe me, for everybody out there listening, you got 2 people in this studio right now that are not those narrow-minded people.
No.
I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression saying that we're justifying any acts of violence against anybody. We're just pointing out the facts here.
I mean, I sided with the family that, remember the guy that got life, I forget where it was, but the guy that got choked to death.
Yeah.
I mean, that cop should have let go. That's just plain and simple. I mean, I have to side with the family there. Not saying what the guy did was right, but he shouldn't have choked him out and killed him.
No.
Because he could have been, from what I understand, he was screaming to let him go, that he was choking, and he didn't let him go.
Now, there was a lead up to that. He was breaking the law, a
Right.
minor law, a misdemeanor at that point. What it really comes down to is a taxation law. You can't sit there and sell individual cigarettes for a quarter or 50 cents or $1, whatever he was selling them for, because you're cutting the government out of their cut.
Right.
And they don't like to be stolen from.
No, of course not.
So, yes, he was breaking the law. Yes, it was a multiple offense situation. And from all accounts, he actually shoved the cop.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But was it right for this guy to go all Patrick Swayze on him?
No.
I mean, this
man.
wasn't a Roadhouse situation.
I was about to say, I thought he was in an episode of movie Roadhouse there for a minute. I'll show you the way society has gotten, though. You know the 2 cops that actually did get killed in New York?
Yes.
Here past recently. Less than 24 hours. I'll show you how society doesn't learn from their mistakes, how stupid people are. Less than 24 hours after the 2 cops that got killed, a guy posted on Facebook a pic of a black guy shooting into a cop car. And that was his way of siding with the cops getting killed.
No, and that just shows you how ignorant people can be. I mean, going back to putting out editorial cartoons that can get you in trouble. I mean, what are you saying by putting that out there? You're saying that you agree with these people that are reaching into cop cars and getting themselves shot and killed.
Yeah, it's shaky times, man. I wonder, and me and you've spoken about it before, and we don't know what the next war won't